Howdy everyone, it's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this January the 30th. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist. Please hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you stay caught up. So yesterday we saw Joseph finally reveal himself to his brothers. He has finally confessed to his brothers he is alive. He survived his ordeal in Egypt, and now he is the governor over all of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. And he has begged his um, brothers to bring his father and their entire family back to Egypt so they can live and survive the famine that's going to go on for the next 5 years. This is God laying the groundwork for the Israelites from the nation of Israel to uh, populate and grow into an actual nation of millions of people. So we're actually going to skip over a few chapters in Genesis now. We're going to go straight to chapter 49 today, where Jacob is going to bless each of his sons specifically, each of the 12 tribes of Israel specifically. So chapter 49, starting in verse 1. Then Jacob called all his sons to him. He said, "My sons, come here to me. I will tell you what will happen in the future. Children of Jacob, gather around. Come listen to Israel, your father. Reuben, my first son, you are my strength, the first proof of my manhood. You were the most honored and powerful of all my sons, but your passion was like a flood you couldn't control. So you will not remain my most honored son. You climbed into your father's bed and slept with one of his wives. You brought shame to my bed, to the bed you lay on. Simeon and Levi are brothers. They are violent with their swords. I will not join their secret meetings. I will not take part in their evil plans. They have killed people out of anger and crippled animals for fun. Their anger is so strong that it is a curse. They are too cruel when they are angry. They will not get their own land in the land of Jacob. They will be spread throughout Israel. Judah, your brothers will praise you. You will defeat your enemies. Your brothers will bow down to you. Judah is like a young lion. My son, you are like a lion standing over the animal it killed. Like a lion, Judah lies down to rest, and no one is brave enough to disturb him. Men from Judah's family will be kings. The sign that his family rules will not leave his family before the real king comes. Then many people will obey and serve him. He ties his donkeys to the best grapevines. He washes his clothes in the best wine. His eyes are red from drinking wine. His teeth are white from drinking milk. Zebulun will live near the sea. His seacoast will be a safe place for ships. His land will continue as far as the city of Sidon. Issachar is like a donkey that has worked too hard. He will lie down under his heavy load. He will see his land is pleasant and that his resting place is good. But he will agree to carry heavy loads. He will agree to work as a slave. Dan will rule his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan will be like a snake at the side of the road. He will be like a dangerous snake lying near the path. That snake bites the horse's foot, and the rider falls to the ground. Lord, I am waiting for your salvation. Verse 19. A group of robbers will attack Gad, but Gad will chase them away. Asher's land will grow much good food. He will have food fit for a king. Naphtali is like a deer running free, and his words are beautiful. Joseph is like a wild donkey, like a young donkey by a spring, like colts grazing in a pasture. People attacked him and made life hard for him, and with arrows became his enemies. But he won the fight with his mighty bow and his skillful arms. He gets power from the mighty one of Jacob, from the shepherd, the rock of Israel, the God of your father who helps you. May God all-powerful bless you and give you blessings from the sky above and from the deep below. May he give you blessings from breast and womb. My parents had many good things happen to them, and I, your father, was blessed even more. Your brothers left you with nothing, but now I pile all my blessings on you, as high as a mountain. Verse 27. Benjamin is like a hungry wolf. In the morning he kills and eats. In the evening, he shares what is left. These are the 12 families of Israel, and this is what their father said to them. He gave each son a blessing that was right for him. Then Israel gave them a command. He said, "When I die, I want to be with my people. I want to be buried with my ancestors in the cave in the field of Ephron the Hittite. That cave is in the field of Machpelah, near Mamre in the land of Canaan. Abraham bought that field from Ephron so that he could have a burying place. Abraham and his wife Sarah are buried in that cave. Isaac and his wife Rebekah are buried in that cave. I buried my wife Leah in that cave. That cave is in the field that was bought from the Hittites." After Jacob finished talking to his sons, he lay down, put his feet back on the bed, and died. All right, so a little foreshadowing there of the blessings and the futures of the various tribes. Not all of them pretty, as we can see. Some, reveal a little bit more than others. Joseph obviously got, the lion's share of the blessing from Jacob because he was the favored one. The blessing of Judah reveals kind of what I've been saying, that Judah will be a family of kings, be a tribe of kings. This is the tribe that will produce the line of David, the king of Israel, and of course the earthly parents of Jesus Christ. He calls Judah a lion, a young lion, whereas Christ is also called the Lion of Judah. So there's that connection there too. So just a few other points here. We can see, Simeon and Levi will not get any land in the land of Jacob. So we'll see that later on, how the land of Israel is divided among the tribes. Levi specifically will not get their own inheritance of land because they will get a different kind of inheritance. They will have a different purpose in the nation of Israel. So we'll see all of that much, much later in the Bible. And that is going to wrap it up for today. And that's actually going to wrap it up for the book of Genesis for this plan. So tomorrow we're going to start in the next book of the Bible, the book of Exodus. All right. So lots of good stories there. Be prepared for that. Thank you all for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Exodus 1 verse 8. Then 3, 2, 1. Howdy everyone, it's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this January the 31st. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. Really do appreciate it. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist, and please hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you stay caught up. Alright, so yesterday we wrapped up our first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis. We saw that Joseph has brought his entire family back into Egypt. Jacob, his brothers, their wives, their families, their servants, all of them. So at that point, there's about 70 of them in all living in the land of Goshen in Egypt, the Israelites. So now we're going to start today the book of Exodus. So between the end of Genesis and the beginning of Exodus is a period of about 400 years, I believe, about 4 centuries. So in that time, the nation of Israel grew from those 70 people to about 2 million in that time. Okay, so they're a legitimate nation at this point right now. So we're going to start Exodus today. If you've ever seen the movie The Prince of Egypt by DreamWorks, or if you even go further back, if you've seen the movie The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, both of those cover a lot of what's going to go on here in the book of Exodus. See the story of Moses, parting of the Red Sea, Israel traveling to the Promised Land, all of that. All right. So today we're going to start Exodus. We're going to start in chapter 1, starting in verse 8. Then a new king began to rule Egypt. He did not know Joseph. This king said to his people, "Look at the Israelites. There are too many of them, and they are stronger than we are. We must make plans to stop them from growing stronger. If there is a war, they might join our enemies, defeat us, and escape from the land." The Egyptians decided to make life hard for the Israelites. They put slave masters over the people. These masters forced the Israelites to build the cities of Pithom and Ramesses for the king. The king used these cities to store grain and other things. The Egyptians forced the Israelites to work harder and harder. But the harder they worked, the more they grew and spread, and the more the Egyptians became afraid of them. So the Egyptians made them work even harder. They made life hard for the Israelites. They forced the Israelites to work hard at making bricks and mortar and to work hard in the fields. The Egyptians showed no mercy in all the hard work that they made the Israelites do. Verse 15. There were two Hebrew nurses who helped the Israelite women give birth. They were named Shiphrah and Puah. The king of Egypt said to the nurses, "You will continue to help the Hebrew women give birth to their children. If a girl baby is born, let the baby live." There were two Hebrew nurses. Oh my gosh, start over. Verse 15. There were two Hebrew nurses who helped the Israelite women give birth. They were named Shiphrah and Puah. The king of Egypt said to the nurses, "You will continue to help the Hebrew women give birth to their children. If a girl baby is born, let the baby live. But if the baby is a boy, you must kill him." But the nurses trusted God, so they did not obey the king's command. They let all the baby boys live. The king of Egypt called for the nurses and asked them, "Why did you do this? Why did you let the baby boys live?" The nurses said to the king, "The Hebrew women are much stronger than the Egyptian women. They give birth to their babies before we can go help them." The nurses trusted God, so he was good to them and allowed them to have their own families. The Hebrews continued to have more children, and they became very strong. So Pharaoh gave this command to his own people: "If the Hebrew women give birth to a baby girl, let it live. But if they have a baby boy, you must throw it into the Nile River." Chapter 2. There was a man from the family of Levi who decided to marry a woman from the tribe of Levi. She became pregnant and gave birth to a baby boy. The mother saw how beautiful the baby was and hid him for 3 months. She hid him for as long as she could. After 3 months, she made a basket and covered it with tar so that it would float. Then she put the baby in the basket and put the basket in the river in the tall grass. The baby's sister stayed and watched to see what would happen to the baby. Just then, Pharaoh's daughter went to the river to bathe. She saw the basket in the tall grass. Her servants were walking beside the river, so she told one of them to go to get the basket. The king's daughter opened the basket and saw a baby boy. The baby was crying, and she felt sorry for him. Then she noticed that it was one of the Hebrew babies. The baby's sister was still hiding. She stood and asked the king's daughter, "Do you want me to go find a Hebrew woman who can nurse the baby and help you care for it?" The king's daughter said, "Yes, please." So the girl went and brought the baby's own mother. The king's daughter said to the mother, "Take this baby and feed him for me. I'll pay you to take care of him." So the woman took her baby and cared for him. The baby grew, and after some time, the woman gave the baby to the king's daughter. The king's daughter accepted the baby as her own son. She named him Moses because she had pulled him from the water. All right, so right off the bat here, things are not going as well as they could be. But again, this is all part of God's plan, all part of God proving to the nation of Israel and to the world that He is God and He is Almighty and He is the Creator God. So, like I said, in the span from the end of Genesis to now has been a period of a few centuries, and in that time, Egypt, the Egyptians, and the rulers of Egypt have kind of just forgotten about Israel. And meanwhile, God has continued to bless the Israelites as they are now known, and they've grown and grown and grown, and now they pretty much outpopulate the Egyptians in their own country. So now the Egyptians are, kind of afraid. You might see some parallels there in our own world nowadays, but we won't get into that. But anyway, so now out of fear and out of hostility, the new ruler, the new Pharaoh of Egypt, is trying to subjugate the Israelites. He's enslaved them and forced them to build and do all these things. But they're still successful, so he just continues to work them harder and harder and harder. He tries to um, curb their population by killing any uh, boys that are born. But we see God continuing to work his plan here by saving Moses and setting him up to be uh, the deliverer for the nation of Israel. So we're going to pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. See you tomorrow. Bye. Not going to go back. Got to put it back on 60 FPS. Well. Alright, so now we're going to go to 2:11 through 25. Alright, in 3, 2, 1. Howdy everyone, it's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this February the 1st. Happy February, everyone. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you so much for joining me. Cards in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist as always, and please hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you aren't missing a thing. All right, so yesterday we began our next book of the Bible, Exodus, and we saw things being set up for that as well. Several hundred years have passed since the end of Genesis. The Israelites are now enslaved by the Egyptians. All newborn baby boys are sentenced to be killed. And then we saw the birth of Moses and how Moses was saved from death by being hidden in a basket in the river and then being rescued from the river by Pharaoh's daughter, actually. So after he has, grown out of being a baby, he now lives in the household of Pharaoh under his daughter. Now we're going to pick it up there where we left off in chapter 2, starting in verse 11. Moses grew and became a man. He saw that his own people, the Hebrews, were forced to work very hard. One day he saw an Egyptian man beating a Hebrew man. Moses looked around and saw that no one was watching. So he killed the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. The next day Moses saw 2 Hebrew men fighting each other. He saw that one man was wrong and said to him, "Why are you hurting your neighbor?" The man answered, "Did anyone say you could be our ruler and judge? Tell me, will you kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" Then Moses was afraid. He thought to himself, "Now everyone knows what I did." Pharaoh heard about what Moses did, so he decided to kill him. But Moses ran away from Pharaoh and went to the land of Midian. Moses stopped near a well in Midian. There was a priest who had 7 daughters. These girls came to get Moses stopped near a well in Midian. There was a priest who had 7 daughters. These girls came to that well to get water for their father's sheep. They were trying to fill the water trough with water, but there were some shepherds there who chased the girls away and would not let them get water. So Moses helped the girls and gave water to their animals. Then they went back to their father Reuel. He asked them, "Why have you come home early today?" The girls answered, "These shepherds chased us away, but an Egyptian rescued us. He got water for us and gave it to our animals." So Reuel said to his daughters, "Where is this man? Why did you leave him? Go, invite him to eat with us." Moses was happy to stay with that man. Reuel let Moses marry his daughter Zipporah. Zipporah became pregnant and had a son. Moses named him Gershom, because Moses was a stranger in a land that was not his own. Verse 23. A long time passed, and that king of Egypt died. But the Israelites were still forced to work very hard. They cried for help, and God heard them. God heard their painful cries and remembered the agreement he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God saw the troubles of the Israelites, and he knew that he would soon help them. All right, so here is an example, and we'll see this many times throughout the Bible, but here's an example of someone who is very important to the story, as we know, but they're not paragon of righteousness as one might believe. And this is just a proof that God uses all kinds. He uses people despite their flaws and despite their sins. Here we see right off the bat, Moses was a murderer. He killed an Egyptian. Now, granted, he was trying to save one of his fellow countrymen, but doesn't really matter. He killed someone. And then he tried to interdict himself into another argument, and they were like, "Who do you think you are? You're not the ruler over us. You're going to kill me like you killed that other guy?" So Moses fled. And then he fled to Midian, got married, started having family, and then a while has passed. So remember, human lifespan isn't like it is nowadays as it was back then. So Moses is actually fairly old at this time. So from the time he's born to the time he flees to Midian is about 40 years, and then from that time until the time of he returns to Egypt, I believe, is about another 40 years. So he's getting pretty old in our terms, but he lives to be about 120 years old, roughly, I think. So anyway, so we see God has heard the cries of Israel, and He's going to do His great wonders and His great plan here. We're going to pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me. Sure do appreciate it. See y'all tomorrow. Bye. All right, so now it's 1 through 22. All right. 3, 2, 1. Howdy, everyone. It's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this February the 2nd. Welcome back to me. 3, 2, 1. Howdy, everyone. It's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this February 2nd. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist, and please hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you aren't missing a thing. So yesterday we continued the story of Moses and his early years. We saw how things are a little different than you might have seen in the movies. I know in the Prince of Egypt they didn't quite portray it the way it's written in the Bible, but hey, it's a movie anyway. But anyway, we see that Moses is trying to help his people in his own way as he's living in Pharaoh's household. He kills an Egyptian who is fighting with a fellow Israelite, buries him in the sand. And then Pharaoh finds out he's going to have Moses killed, so Moses flees to Midian, and he meets a priest, marries his daughter, becomes a shepherd. Okay, so now we're going to pick it up there in Exodus chapter 3, starting in verse 1. Moses' father-in-law was named Jethro. Jethro was a priest of Midian. Moses took care of Jethro's sheep. One day Moses led the sheep to the west side of the desert. He went to a mountain called Horeb, the mountain of God. On that mountain, Moses saw the angel of the Lord in a burning bush. Moses saw a bush that was burning without being destroyed. So he decided to go closer to the bush and see how a bush could continue burning without being burned up. The Lord saw Moses was coming to look at the bush, so he called to him from the bush. He said, "Moses, Moses." Moses said, "Yes, Lord." Then God said, "Don't come any closer. Take off your sandals. You are standing on holy ground. I am the God of your ancestors. I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." Moses covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, "I have seen the troubles my people have suffered in Egypt, and I have heard their cries when the Egyptians hurt them. Then the Lord said, "I have seen the troubles my people have suffered in Egypt, and I have heard their cries when the Egyptians hurt them. I know about their pain. Now I will go down and save my people from the Egyptians. I will take them from that land and lead them to a good land where they can be free from these troubles. It is a land filled with many good things. Many different people live in that land: the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. I have heard the cries of the Israelites, and I have seen the way the Egyptians have made life hard for them. So now I am sending you to Pharaoh. Go, lead my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "I am not a great man. How can I be the one to go to Pharaoh and lead the Israelites out of Egypt?" God said, "You can do it because I will be with you. This will be the proof that I am sending you. After you lead the people out of Egypt, you will come and worship me on this mountain." Then Moses said to God, "But if I go to the Israelites and say to them that the God of your ancestors sent me, then the people will ask, 'What is his name?' What should I tell them?" Then God said to Moses, "Tell them, I am who I am. When you go to the Israelites, tell them I am sent me to you. And God said, tell the Israelites that you were sent by Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. This will always be my name. It is how I want the people to remember me from now on. Now go and call together the elders of the people. Tell them that Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, appeared to you. Give them this message from me. I have been watching over you and have seen what people in Egypt have done to you. And I have decided that I will take you away from the troubles you are suffering in Egypt. I will lead you to the land that now belongs to others, the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. I will lead you to a land filled with many good things. The elders will listen to you, and then you and the elders will go to Pharaoh. You will tell him, Yahweh is the God of the Hebrews. He came to us and told us to travel 3 days into the desert. There we must offer sacrifices to Yahweh our God. But I know that the Pharaoh will not let you go. Only a great power will force him to let you go. So I will use my great power against Egypt. I will cause amazing things to happen in that land. After I do this, he will let you go. And I will cause the Egyptians to be kind to the Israelites. They will give many gifts to your people when they leave Egypt. All the Hebrew women will ask their Egyptian neighbors and the Egyptian women living in their houses for gifts. And those Egyptian women will give them gifts of silver, gold, and fine clothing. Then you will put those gifts on your children. In this way, you will take away the wealth of the Egyptians. All right, so this is all part of God's plan, building up Israel into his chosen people, his nation. He is promising he's going to remove them from their suffering in Egypt and take them to the land that he's promised them, the land of Canaan, which will be the nation of Israel, the physical nation of Israel, which is inhabited by all these other peoples right now. And they are going to take the wealth of Egypt with them. This is all God's sovereign plan. If that's what he wants to happen, then that's what's going to happen. It is right, it is good, it is just, period. God's plan is good, right? And here we see God telling Moses also some of his names. And these are very important. Yahweh, the great Yahweh, or I am, the great I am. I am who I am. Try to remember that because that'll get brought up later in the New Testament. Okay? All right, so we're going to pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. See you tomorrow. Bye. So now, chapter 4, 17. 3, 2. Howdy, everyone. It's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this February 3rd. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. Really do appreciate it. Card in the top right-hand corner for the rest of the playlist, and please hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you aren't missing a thing. All right, so yesterday we caught up with Moses. He's living in the land of Midian as a shepherd. He's married, got a family, and now he encounters the Lord in the burning bush. We may have all heard the story of the burning bush, the bush that is on fire but doesn't wither and burn and crackle like it normally does. And here God is telling Moses that he is going to step in and rescue his people, the Israelites, from the Egyptians and bring them to the land that he has promised to them, the land he promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and bless them and give them wealth and all these things. So we're going to pick it up there, chapter 4 of Exodus, starting in verse 1. Then Moses said to God, "But the Israelites will not believe me when I tell them that you sent me. They will say, 'The Lord did not appear to you.' But the Lord said to Moses, 'What is that you have in your hand?' Moses answered, 'It is my walking stick.' Then God said, 'Throw your walking stick on the ground.' So Moses threw his walking stick on the ground, and it became a snake. Moses ran from it. But the Lord said to him, 'Reach out and grab the snake by its tail.' When Moses reached out and caught the snake's tail, the snake became a walking stick again. Then God said, 'Use your stick in this way. And the people will believe that you saw the Lord, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will give you another proof. Put your hand under your robe. So Moses opened his robe and put his hand inside. Then he brought his hand out of the robe, and it was changed. His hand was covered with spots that were white like snow. Then God said again, Now put your hand into your robe again. So Moses put his hand into his robe again. Then he brought his hand out, and his hand was changed. Now his hand was good again, as it was before. Then God said, If the people don't believe you when you use your walking stick, then they will believe you when you show them this sign. If they still refuse to believe after you show them both of these signs, then take some water from the Nile River. Pour the water on the ground, and as soon as it touches the ground, it will become blood. Then Moses said to the Lord, But Lord, I am telling you, I am not a good speaker. I have never been able to speak well. And that hasn't changed that you started talking to me. I am not a good speaker. You know that I speak slowly and don't use the best words. Then the Lord said to him, Who made a person's mouth? And who can make someone deaf or not able to speak? Who can make a person blind? Who can make a person able to see? I am the one. I am the Lord. So go. I will be with you when you speak. I will give you the words to say. But Moses said, My Lord, I beg you to send someone else, not me. And the Lord became angry with Moses and said, All right, I'll give you someone to help you. Aaron the Levite is your brother, isn't he? He is a good speaker. In fact, Aaron is already coming to meet you, and he will be happy to see you. I will tell you what to say. Then you will tell Aaron, and I will help him say it well. I will tell both of you what to do. So Aaron will speak for you. Like God, you will speak for him. So Aaron will speak for you. Like God, you will speak to him, and he will tell the people what you say. So go and carry your walking stick with you. Use it and the other miracles to show the people that I am with you. All right, so again, Moses is not perfect. And here we see more examples of that. Despite what's shown in the movies, Moses is very, very hesitant to take on this task that God has commanded him, even though God has promised to be with him. The God of the universe, the Almighty, is telling you, hey, you're going to be okay. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to show you what to do. You got this. And Moses is like, I can't talk. And he just, continues to beg God and argue with him. Just someone else, please. No, don't make me do it. And God just kind of rolls his eyes and say, all right, fine. Aaron can talk for you. You're still going to do a lot of the work, but Aaron can talk for you. Okay? So, again, not perfect. None of us are. None of us ever will be until we go in glory to heaven. Okay? So, anyway, that's where we're going to end the story for today, and we're going to pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me, and I sure do appreciate it. See y'all tomorrow.